Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and felt a sudden chill in the room, even though the windows were closed? For a brief moment, everything feels wrong, like the apartment doesn't belong to you anymore, like the person sleeping beside you is a stranger. We trust our locks, our bolts, our security cameras. They're supposed to protect us. But what if the thing you should be afraid of never broke in? What if you invited it inside? Tonight's story is about a man in New York City who thought he was having the luckiest New Year's Eve of his life. He had been lonely for months, surrounded by people, but never really seen. That night, he met a girl named Maitra, a beautiful, soft-spoken artist who seemed almost too perfect to be real. They talked for hours about her paintings, about the city, about life. She laughed at his jokes like she truly understood him. For the first time in a long while, he didn't want the night to end. But as the sun slowly rose over the city, something felt off. Maitra stood near the window, watching the streets below. When he asked where she lived, she smiled but didn't answer. When he asked for her number, she gently changed the subject. And then, just like that, she was gone. No sound, no goodbye. The front door was still bolted from the inside. Her coat was missing. Her shoes were gone. But there was no sign she had ever walked out. At first, he told himself she left quietly, that maybe he just hadn't noticed. But as the hours passed, the unease settled in. He searched his apartment again and again. There was no trace of Maitra, no messages on his phone, no photos, no social media profile. It was as if she had never existed. That's when the fear really started, because we always imagine ghosts haunting old houses or dark graveyards. But the most terrifying encounters don't happen in abandoned places. They happen in our homes, because names can be borrowed, smiles can be practiced, and sometimes the person you spend the night with isn't looking for love or even companionship. They're just passing through, and once they leave, they take something with them. Before we go any further, ask yourself this: if someone vanishes from your locked apartment without opening the door, where exactly did they go? The night this all started was last New Year's Eve. I was in New York City with two of my closest friends, Ryland and Eric. We started the night with a few drinks, then headed to a crowded rooftop party in Brooklyn. The city was glowing. Music, laughter, fireworks waiting to happen. Around 11:30 p.m., I went to the bar to grab another drink. That's when I saw her. She was standing alone near the edge of the rooftop, quietly watching the city lights below, calm, still, like she didn't quite belong in the noise around her. I said hello, and she smiled. Her name was Maitra. I told her I'd never heard that name before. She laughed softly and said, "Just think of it like the words, my tree." Then she took a pen and wrote it on the back of my hand so I wouldn't forget. That's when I noticed something strange. Her fingers were ice cold, not just cool, unnaturally cold, like she had been standing outside in the snow for hours. I almost pulled my hand away, but she didn't react at all. She just kept smiling. We talked for the next hour. She said she was an artist from San Diego who used to paint large murals. She mentioned her two cats, Mia and Cosmo. Her birthday, April 28th. A best friend from a small town in Germany. They were such normal details, so human. There was no reason not to trust her. At midnight, fireworks exploded over the skyline. Everyone was cheering. Maitra leaned in, and we kissed. I remember pulling out my phone and taking a quick selfie of us to capture the moment. The screen froze for a second before the photo saved. I didn't think much of it then. Later, that photo would haunt me. Around 12:30 a.m., we left the party and went back to my apartment in the East Village. She wrinkled her nose and said her clothes smelled like smoke. She tossed them into my washer, and I gave her an old t-shirt to sleep in. The heater hummed softly as we lay down. Outside, the city finally felt quiet. I remember thinking, I was the luckiest guy in New York. But when I opened my eyes the next morning, something was wrong. The first thing I noticed wasn't the light or the time. It was the silence. Not a peaceful silence, a heavy, pressing silence, the kind that makes your stomach drop before your mind catches up. I rolled over to say good morning. The space beside me was empty. The sheets were cold. Cold, like no one had slept there at all. When I woke up, sunlight was spilling across the floor, but the room was freezing. Not just cold morning air, unnaturally cold. I reached over to the other side of the bed, expecting to feel her warmth. The sheets were ice cold. I sat up, my heart already racing. "Mitra?" I called out. No answer, just a heavy, suffocating silence that pressed against my ears. I checked the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom. My apartment is tiny. There aren't many places to hide. I even checked the small laundry area. The washer and dryer were empty. Her smoky clothes were gone. So was the t-shirt I had lent her. At first, I felt annoyed more than scared. I told myself she'd gotten cold feet and slipped out early. Maybe she didn't want things to get awkward. Then I saw the door. My front door has a heavy manual deadbolt. It can only be locked from the outside with a physical key. From the inside, you have to turn the latch yourself. I walked closer, my heart pounding. The bolt was still thrown. The door was locked from the inside. I stood there staring at it, trying to make it make sense. There are no fire escapes in my unit. My windows are old fourth-floor frames that don't open more than 5 inches. It was physically impossible for her to leave and lock that door behind her. I started pacing, opening closets, checking under the bed like a crazy person. I needed an explanation. Any explanation. Was I still drunk? Had I dreamed the entire night? Then I looked down at my hand. The ink was still there. Mitra, written in blue pen. My stomach dropped, and then I remembered the selfie. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my phone and opened the gallery. The photo loaded slowly. When it finally appeared, my skin went numb. There I was, smiling at the camera at midnight, but the space beside me was empty. No girl, no arm around my shoulder. Just the blurry lights of the Brooklyn skyline where her face should have been. I couldn't breathe. My fingers went numb around the phone. I needed to hear another human voice. I called my best friend Garrett, who lives halfway across the world in Hong Kong. I expected him to laugh, to tell me I was overthinking. I explained everything. The party, the name, the cold touch, the locked door, the photo. There was a long pause on the line. Then Garrett said something that made my blood run cold. "That's not possible," he said slowly. "People don't just erase themselves." That's when I realized something terrifying. I wasn't dealing with a girl who ran away. I was dealing with something that was never supposed to be there in the first place. I picked up my phone and called my friend Garrett. He lives in Hong Kong, so with the time difference, it was already evening for him. I just needed to hear a familiar voice, someone to tell me I wasn't losing my mind. When he picked up, he sounded strange. Not confused, not tired, excited. Before I could even say a word about the girl vanishing from my locked apartment, Garrett started shouting into the phone. "Dude, you will not believe the night I just had," he said, breathless. "I'm still trying to process it." I froze. He told me he'd gone to a New Year's party at a packed club in Hong Kong. Loud music, flashing lights, midnight countdown. He said he'd met an incredible girl at the bar right around 12. As he talked, a cold shiver started at the base of my neck and crawled slowly down my spine. Every detail he mentioned felt wrong. "She was calm," Garrett said. "Not drunk like everyone else. Almost like she was just observing the room." My grip tightened on the phone. I hadn't even said her name yet, I realized later. "Wait," I interrupted him, my voice shaking. "What was her name?" There was a short pause. Then Garrett laughed. "It's a cool name, man. Mitra. She told me to remember it like my tree." The room felt like it tilted. My legs went weak, and I had to sit down on the edge of the bed. Garrett kept talking, unaware that my world was collapsing. "She said she's an artist from San Diego," he continued. "Used to paint murals. Super chill. Honestly, she felt different, in a good way." My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. The same name, the same explanation, The same story. On the back of my hand, the blue ink suddenly felt hot, like it was burning into my skin. "Garrett," I whispered. "Did she touch you?" He laughed again. "Yeah, man. She grabbed my hand to show me something." "Why?" I swallowed hard. "Was her skin cold?" This time Garrett didn't answer right away. "Yeah," he said slowly. "Actually, it was. I thought it was just the AC." The silence between us stretched. "Send me the selfie," I said. "What?" "The photo," I repeated. "The one you took with her." Another pause. "Okay," he said. "That's weird. I don't remember taking one, but wait." I heard tapping on his screen. Then his voice dropped. "Dude," he said quietly. "There is a photo. I'm in it. The club's behind me." I held my breath, but there's no one standing next to me. That's when the truth finally hit me. Matra wasn't disappearing. She was moving. And she wasn't bound to one place, or one person, or even one country. She was passing through us. I didn't hear from Garrett for 3 days. I barely slept. Every night, I lay awake staring at my phone and at the faded blue ink on the back of my hand. No matter how much I scrubbed it, the name never fully disappeared. When Garrett finally called, his voice sounded wrong. Flat, older, like he had aged 20 years in less than a week. He told me that when he finally worked up the courage to open the guest room door, the bed was perfectly made. No signs anyone had slept there. But something else was wrong. The window, 30 floors above the street, had something sitting on the narrow ledge outside. The window didn't even open. The wind up there was brutal. Neatly folded on the ledge was the t-shirt Garrett had lent her. We both went quiet after that. Then we became obsessed. We searched everything. Social media, artist registries, birth records, gallery listings. There was no trace of an artist named Mitra. No history, no footprint. It was like she had been created for one night and erased by morning. Then Garrett found something. Buried deep in the digital archives of an old Hong Kong newspaper from 1994, there was a short article about a traveler who died in a hotel fire on New Year's Eve. The name wasn't Matra, but the photo made my chest tighten. It was her. The same eyes, the same smile. But the detail that finally broke my sanity was what she was wearing in that 30-year-old photo. A vintage band t-shirt with a very specific, rare logo. My shirt, the exact same one I had lent her in New York just days earlier. A shirt from a brand that didn't even exist until 2018. That's when I understood the truth. She wasn't traveling. She was looping, jumping across time and space. New Year's Eve to New Year's Eve, wearing pieces of us like souvenirs. It's been months now, but the feeling never left. Sometimes in a crowded place, I catch the faint smell of smoke mixed with expensive perfume. I turn around fast, expecting to see her. There's never anyone there. Garrett moved out of his apartment a week later. He said he couldn't handle the silence of that guest room anymore. What scares me most isn't that she was a ghost. It's that reality has gaps, and some things live in those gaps. They learn our names. They borrow our clothes. They write on our skin. They sleep in our beds. And when the night ends, they move on across countries, across years. Like time means nothing to them. So if you met someone special this year, someone who felt a little too perfect, pay attention. Check your locks. And if they disappear before the sun comes up, don't go looking for them, because some people aren't just visitors in your home. They're visitors in our entire timeline. I still have that faint blue mark on my hand. The name, Mitra. It never fully goes away. It feels like she's still there, just under my skin, waiting for the next New Year's Eve to wake up again.